So I was approached to be part of the team that turned around Eskom at the time when we're experiencing really the worst form of load shedding. It was back in 2022, and we joined as part of a team of board members in October 2022. And our immediate task was to try and understand what are the root causes of why we are where we are. And the approach that we decided to do was slightly different from generally what board members do. We decided to dive into the organization and listen, try and understand from the teams that were in Eskom what the issues were. And that helped us when we then surfaced. It helped us to be able to come up with what I call systemic issues. There were 9 big systemic issues that we came up with, and one of them related to load shedding, which is the unreliability of the plant, but the others, like the dysfunctional organizational behavior or dysfunctional organizational culture. The other one, of course, is the corruption. That's another big issue facing Eskom. The other one is linked to debt. So there were those big items that we came up with. And we have come up with plans around the key ones. For example, when it comes to load shedding, we had a 2-year generation recovery plan. And we had step-by-step of what needed to be done. We did an analysis. We found that there were 4 power stations that were performing well. The trick was, let them continue to perform well. Let's make sure that we focus and maintain that. Then we done another analysis which gave us a view that 75% of our problems came from 6 power stations. Again, that helps us to focus on the area. So we started to put a lot of focus on those power stations. And of course, there were a number of other power stations where we needed to do certain things, like in Quebec, extend the life of Quebec beyond the 40 years to another 20 years. So we've got that generation recovery plan over a 2-year period starting in 2023, March. And right now we are 18 months into that plan. And part of that plan was in March this year, we should have been at 65. And in March next year, we should be at 70% energy availability factor. When the EAF is above 60%, already there's no load shedding. But we want to be way above that so that we can create that safety margin. So where we are, we're currently sitting at about 65%. And we think that by next year, end of March, we should be meeting or exceeding our target. When you are in an environment like the one where we are, there are so many stakeholders here. There are so many people that have got interest in Eskom. Some of them want Eskom to fail, others want it to succeed, others just have got an interest in Eskom. So there are so many voices of people that are experts. You need to tune all of those out. Focus on the data. What does the data tell you within the organization? And then that helps us to inform our strategies, And so that's one side of this. On the technical side, focus on the data. But always pay attention to the human element, the human component of it, because you can have the best technical solution, but if you do not create a safe or an enabling environment through people, you end up with a solution that is not going to work. So in this case of Eskom, what you found was that generally head office was completely disconnected from the rest of the company. Completely disconnected. So you would look at the leaders, you would then ask them, okay, you look behind those leaders. you find that actually nobody's following. That is terrible. If you are a leader, you need to have followers, And the people on the ground understood and understand what the issues are. Unfortunately, those were not listened, and that's where we came in, listening and enabling those. But there's also a noise externally. We have 3 ministers responsible for Eskom: Minister of Electricity, Minister of Energy, Minister of Public Enterprises. Each one of these ministers have got a different leadership style. So you need to know how to manage up, so that you can get the best support from each one of these people. You need to understand their interests so that whenever you are engaging, you are aligning with their interests. Then there are environmental groups. Clearly have got their agenda. Of course, we 100% behind their agenda, but at the same time, as a company, what our focus was in the first instance was to deliver energy security, So you need to also listen to that noise, pay attention to it, but don't be distracted on what you need to be doing. Then rally the troops internally. The employees are your biggest asset. These are the people that are going to, they have turned around Eskom. It's not me, it's not management, it's the employees of Eskom. So you need to find a way to get the best out of these employees. And that means paying attention to the things that motivate them, for things like bonuses, things like salary increase. They never had salary increases for 5 years. They never had, short-term incentives like bonuses. They were all removed. It was what I call collective punishment. You want these people to change things, but at the same time, you are punishing them. So bring those things back, but align them with the right behavior. Performance-based incentives. Bring them back and drive that. And that has done quite a lot. Only yesterday, there was this feedback that I got from the team. When we came, the unplanned outages in Eskom were sitting at about 18,000 megawatts. So at any given moment in time, there was capacity that was not available just because it was not available. And that's the capacity that should be delivering energy to the grid, but it was not. Right now, 18 months later, 7,000. We've moved down from 18 to 7,000. We've unlocked so much of that. And it's not the board, it's not the top leaders, it's the employees of Eskom working, competing, being passionate, driving excellence in their power station. So the element of employees or people is always key to this, but it needs to be driven by scientific analysis behind it. Help them to focus on the right things. So the first point that we needed to do was to make sure that we have energy security in South Africa. That we have now. But that then gives us the ability to think about the future. And that future does not include coal. We cannot have energy that is coming from bad sources. We need to be moving aggressively as a company into renewables. And that's where we are going. I was just sharing about 2 weeks ago, we had this strategy session where we are clear. We are going to participate in renewables. We are going to compete with the independent power producers as Eskom. And competition is good. It's good because it's going to be driving the costs down. And that's what all of us want. So let's not say, Eskom, why are you participating? No, encourage Eskom. We are excited to be competing. We are going to have competitors. It's going to make us it's going to make us to come up with innovation. So that's fantastic, great. We are going to be in solar, we're going to wind, battery storage systems, that's where we're going to be. We are also going to be in nuclear, for sure. Nuclear, because we will need base load. You can have all of the renewable energy in the world, but if you've got 1 week where the weather is not fine, where are we going to get the electricity from? You still need base load. That's why you need, the hydro. That's why you need nuclear, and that's why you need gas. From gas to power energy systems. So that's where we are. We're excited about that future. It's a future that involves not just Eskom, but include all of the other players. But hey, bring the competition on. We're excited about that. Yeah. When I look at where we are today, look at Sasol, look at a company like Eskom, look at a company, it used to be called ISCO, the steel company. These are companies that are 100 years old plus, but they've carried South Africa for those years, but they're coming like, we need another kind of companies, but talking to the future. We've got what is called critical minerals in this country. Manganese, lithium, copper, all of these minerals, we are not adding value to them before we export them. We really do need to have some of our best minds coming up with ideas on how can we convert some of these and add value in our country. This is what is going to change completely. We are sitting with these minerals. They are not in Europe. They are not. They are here on this continent. This is the time for us to leverage them and transform completely how Africa, and in particular how South Africa, shows up to the rest of the world. We've got the bright minds here. We have done it in the past. Why can't we do it now? Let's focus on the right things. Yes, invite the people coming from other countries to come and help us with beneficiation, but why don't we do it ourselves? Let's identify the areas in the value chain that are key to us, that talk to our strengths as a country. Let's capture those areas for ourselves before allowing others to come in. So what I'm saying is, as a country, let's be clear about our national agenda. As technologists, as engineers, let's be clear as well in how we can support that national agenda, which is really about inclusive growth of South Africa. So one of the things, for me, leadership matters. And by leadership, I'm not just looking at the CEO. Leadership of the board. Do we have the right boards? These are people who are supposed to be holding management of these institutions accountable, providing an oversight over these people. But if they're clueless about what these institutions are doing, they're not going to be able to do their job. So make sure that we've got the right people sitting on those boards. And those boards, in turn, must make sure that they identify the right leaders in these various businesses. So leadership matters. Management of stakeholders, very, very important stakeholders. I always say, look at stakeholders in a 360-degree. Our employees are stakeholders, Let's manage them the same way we're trying to manage clients or customers, the same way we're trying to manage government, the same way we're managing investors or the bankers. We pay attention to all of these stakeholders because they are all key to helping the institution to move forward. I say celebrate wins, Wins are there as we are progressing, moving forward, I don't like this big bang thing. Yes, we can sometimes get a big bang, great, but most of the time it's like minute progress that we are making. Make and celebrate those key milestones as you move forward. Tell your story. Don't wait for some other people because they've got their own agenda. Own your narrative, own it, and that is very, very important to do that. And make sure that if you are managing the strategy, let's allow management, let's allow the employees, let's allow them the space to do what they know best. Let's not interfere as the board. I say trust, but verify. Don't just trust. At some point you need to have some checkpoints. So those were some of the things that I would say that we can take away from this turnaround of Eskom.